The main brush I'm going to be using is an Evolution brand, and it's a slicker brush. It's got a little button on the back that releases excess fur that works really well, so I actually like the brush a lot. And this is Nash, a Great Pyrenees, so we're talking like a pretty serious, thick, heavy coat, and he has 2 layers. Of course, an underlayer and a top coat, because he's built for cold weather. But we don't live in a cold climate, so it's really important for me to keep his coat right. And we've actually just went off grid about 30 days ago, so he's well overdue for some grooming now that the busyness of getting settled into a new place has sort of subsided a little. Now here's the slicker brush, and you can see the button on the back. That button works really great for releasing the excess hair, and the technique I use for it is, being he has an undercoat also, what works really well is, let's get back to the video here. There it is. What I try and do is I sort of picture a row, and I slowly move my hand. As you can see, I'm kind of moving my hand up his coat, and as I do that, I'm kind of making my way across in a row, and that pulls all the excess loose hair out of his undercoat. And then every once in a while, I'll give a kind of a long stroke like that to sort of just, look at all that hair. That's out of one little spot. So I'm going to pick a dog like this. I think the best way to go about it is to just kind of break it down in sections. So that's what I usually do with him, and I'm going for the worst section first, which on Pyrenees it's the back hind quarter area that's really thick. They get matted if you let it go. It gets like dreads in it and all that. So I'm kind of sticking with the rows, and I really like that technique. So I just kind of do rows, working my way up, and then follow up with some long broad strokes, and then I'll just move on to another section and use the same technique. Fortunately, I have pretty good sized hands, so I can kind of cover a lot of ground holding back one area. And you see how I'm doing, like, it's just like I'm just working a row, and then I go up a little bit and work a row back and forth, and then follow up with that long stroke just to really grab any excess layer off the top. But with these brushes, you don't want to really dig really hard, because you definitely irritate your dog's skin, or I'm sure you could stab him with the needles if you really pushed hard enough, so you don't want to do that, of course. Now the hind quarter is all done, and as usual, if you don't have a short-haired dog, I mean, they're great for maintenance, which I have a short-haired dog too, and she takes about 2 swipes to brush and she's done. It's really just to, she just likes it, really. There's not a lot of need to brush like I have to do this guy. See how well that brush works? I love this little brush. The Evolution brush, I think I got it at like PetSmart maybe, or Petco, but I know they're on like Amazon. They're real cheap, and it's really a great brush, and I've had it for a year now, so it's not broken, still works. The release trigger still works on it well, so I'd say for 10-12 bucks, however much it was, definitely a good brush to have. And if you have a dog with an undercoat, this is the brush you gotta have. Gotta have this. I usually mix it up when I'm all done. I'll usually go over them with a regular dog brush, just a really long strokes, but this is really getting in there and taking care of business. That's what I love about this brush. And I don't know about your dog, but this guy has no problem. If I took 3 hours to sit there and brush him, he'd sit there for 3 hours. Being how this slicker brush is so good for just removing excess hair, and undercoat hair, then I really like the idea of going over the top with that long stroke, because that really just tops it off, getting rid of that excess hair. It's just really, the long strokes really are just kind of grazing the top. If you see here, I'm not like trying to really dig in. When I do those long strokes, I'm just grazing across the top, and it cleans so much excess hair off the top coat also. So here I'm just kind of doing the rows again, and I think that really is the best technique. And if you can get your arm flat on the dog and get like a really wide space like that, like I have right here, you can have it done in no time at all. Just make like this wide row and slowly keep working it up, across. And you can see, just from that little section, how much hair is built up on that slicker brush. Good golly, that's a lot of hair. And behind the ears on a long-haired dog like this, that's where it tends to get any matted and kind of like those twisted dreads. And I usually just cut those out and kind of try and keep his hair short behind the ears, but even still, I'll switch to like a regular brush to get the hairbrush back there. But I don't want those needles to like grab and pull them, and then it's kind of, you know, anything that turns to be an unpleasant experience only leads to, you know, maybe you don't want your dog to be apprehensive about getting his hair brushed. You want him to always think it's going to feel good. I'm working up the back of his neck. And you see what I mean about just sections? It's all sections. I should be grabbing that other brush and get behind his ear here in a minute. Now, it's really funny how you can see he's just like, getting brushed is just like a sedative. This is the worst of all. On the back hind area, man, this is the thickest hair I think I might have ever even seen on a dog, let alone tried to brush. But it's real important to keep them somewhat together back there. Not only Pyrenees, but all long-haired dogs that have really big, thick hair back there. I guess number one, it's you know, so when a dog does his business, so it stays a clean operation, is pretty important. But he can harbor a lot of dirt, and it's important to help keep him cool all over too. So I also take the scissors once in a while, and I keep this really short back there, because it just turns into a real mess. I mean, you need like a pair of lop shears to cut it if you let it go. And a Pyrenees' hair will grow so unbelievably long. Back here on his hind area, I try not to get too fussy, just short. His keeping that hair short just like keeps a lot of problems away. So every time I give him a good brush, instead of having to go through a big project, I'll just take a few snips, and that seems to kind of like maintain him. And it doesn't look it on the screen, but the hair back there is very afro-ish. It's really thick and really like frizz afro type of hair under there. Now, what's kind of funny is you could tell I'm not like a refined groomer. I'm just like cutting away. It would be really funny to take him to a dog show and get laughed out of the place. Now I just kind of take the regular brush and long stroke, kind of go for like the big picture. I think it's really important to get the top coat and focus on that as much as the undercoat, because when it comes to your dog getting ventilation through his fur, it all counts. It's a lot of work, a big dog like this. He's about 100 pounds. He's not incredibly big for a Pyrenees for his breed, but still, he's a huge dog. A lot of ground to cover. There you go. There's about 1/2 of the trimmings for the day. There he is, happy now. Turn dog over, repeat. Do the other half.